Supreme Court striking down affirmative action when deciding that race cannot be a factor in college admissions. Joining us today to talk more about this and how it affects more than just higher education is Professor Natasha Robinson from Legalese. Please welcome back to the morning show.
Thank you for having me.
Natasha, let's talk about this. When you had this ruling come down, most legal experts knew that this was going to be coming down. It came out of North Carolina and Harvard. In your view, what does this mean for the United States? Affirmative action for college admissions has been around for about 45, 50 years.
Well, it means that people are going to be a little bit more creative in how it is that they recognize the humanity and identity of everyone. Affirmative action was never created for unqualified people. It was created to have qualified people have access to the institutions that historically would ignore them because of race and other factors. So now what education has to do is they have to be creative with recognizing that it's not just only about diversity, equity, inclusion, it's also about belonging and making this a human rights issue.
Does this have a spillover effect outside of higher education?
I absolutely think it does because it affects not only just education, but also employment. And so what's going to happen is that you had this onslaught of policies of diversity,
Sure.
equity, and inclusion in 2020. And so now you have the aesthetic name, but do you have the substance of what it is that you claim? And so even though there is no federal protection about affirmative action, it's about how do you live out your belief ethic, which is to include and to make sure that those who are applying to these places, hiring and higher education, that they are also included and they belong.
Justice Thomas went on record saying that he had heard a lot about diversity in this argument, but says personally he does not have a clue what diversity means.
Well, he does have a clue of what diversity means because he is a direct beneficiary of affirmative action by his own words and by his own legacy. And so he told us in the Dobbs v. Jackson case that, in fact, not only would affirmative action be addressed, but other issues that have to do with substantive due process. He said that we would correct these errors. So we're looking at same-gender loving marriages. We're looking at the right to contraceptives. We're looking to all of the cases which, in his word, precedents that are, in fact, establishing error.
You just brought up marriage for same-sex couples. Let's talk about what was decided with that Colorado case with a website designer who... And there was no case, actually. There was no couple who had actually gone to her to design their wedding website. But nonetheless, this case was brought up through the courts, and the Supreme Court had a ruling that your religious freedom could be used to discriminate against anyone who wanted your services as a business owner.
So the Elena's case, because I'm not going to acknowledge the person who won't acknowledge my siblings, which are LGBTQIA plus communities. In the Elena's case, that is setting a very slippery slope because now what it's doing is it's giving businesses the discretion to interact and to enforce their own discrimination. And so while the court, they put it in legal language, the reality is that now this is yet another stepping stone away from equality.
Now, when we're talking about precedent setting, Justice Sonia Sotomayor said that this ruling could have a spillover effect into many other types and areas. Where do you see that going?
I see that as businesses weaponizing their oppression. I see that as owners who decide that we are not persons who need to be viewed in the eyes of humanity, that now you can legalize and weaponize your oppression by denial of rights, denial of services. And that's not just going to happen in businesses. It's going to happen in education. It's going to happen in employment. And then you will have these institutions that will carry out their beliefs and thus continue to disenfranchise groups of people.
All right. Talk about legalese, please, for a moment.
Sure. That's my favorite topic.
I know.
So, Legalese Please is an online platform that is designed to decode, demystify, and deconstruct legal language.
Yeah.
So, in short, we build you up by breaking it down. Any barriers, any boundaries that prevent the everyday person from understanding what legal issues are and how they affect them. And a lot of times, legal language is encoded and enshrouded in confusion.
Sure.
We rid ourselves of shame and guilt. We make sure that the everyday conversation is for the everyday person and that it is able to include people so that they can not only learn, but they can also teach other people about what the law is.
Why say something in 5 words, counselor, when you can say it in 50, right?
But, well, I'm here to keep it short. Keep it real and keep it short.
Professor, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. For more information on Legalese Please, you can visit the website, legaleseplease.com. You can also visit them